DNS Spoofing Kali Linux. Armand Shahriarian. DNS Spoofing. One solution to the issue of needing to capture traffic that may be outside the local network is using a DNS spoofing attack. In this attack, you interfere with a DNS lookup to ensure that when your target attempts to resolve a host name into an IP address, the target gets the IP address of a system you control. This type of attack is sometimes called a cache poisoning attack. The reason for this is that what you may do is exploit a DNS server close to your target. This would generally be a caching server, meaning it looks up addresses from authoritative servers on your behalf and then caches the answer for a period of time determined by the authoritative server. Once you have access to the caching server, you can modify the cache that's in place to direct your targets to systems that you control. You can also include any entries that don't exist by editing the cache. This would impact anyone who used that cache server. This process has the benefit of working outside the local network but has the disadvantage of requiring you to compromise a remote DNS server. Perhaps easier, though still requiring you to be on the local network, is the program DNS Spoof. When a system sends out a DNS request to a server, it expects a response from that server. The request includes an identifier so it is protected against attackers sending blind responses. If the attacker can see the request go out, though, it can capture the identifier and include it in a response that has the IP address belonging to the attacker. DNS Spoof was written by Doug Song many years ago, at a time when it may have been less likely that you would be on a switched network. If you are on a switched network, you would have to go through the extra step of grabbing the DNS messages in order to see the request. Running DNS Spoof is easy, even if preparing for running it may not be. You need a host's file mapping IP addresses to host names. This takes the form of single-line entries with the IP address followed by spaces and then the host name that is meant to be associated with that IP address. Once you have the host's file, you can run DNS Spoof. As you can see in example 2-14. Example 2-14. Using DNS Spoof. Root at Kali #DNSSpoof ith0f myhosts UDP DST port 53. You'll notice that at the end of the command line, I have included BPF to focus the packets that are captured. Without this, dump would default to looking only at UDP port 53, but not the IP address of the host it is being run on. I removed that part and included my own BPF in order to run tests on my local system. You'll see the requests get flagged when they come in. This output is similar to what you might see from dump. You may be wondering why you'd bother to take the extra step of using DNS Spoof if you have to use ITRCAP or ARP Spoof, another ARP spoofing utility, though this one was written by Doug Song and included in the same suite of tools as DNS Spoof. What you can do with DNS Spoof that you can't do with just ARP spoofing is directing a SYS TEM to actually visit another IP address, thinking they are going to somewhere legitimate. You could create a rogue web server, for example, making it look like the real server but including some malicious code to gather data or infect the target. This is not the only purpose for doing DNS spoofing, but is a popular one.